Oh no,
What?
it's a show.
Are you telling me it's the Jimmy Doan show?
I think so.
All right.
And look, we're right on time,
Are we?
right in the right location. We are centered in space-time.
This is good.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Jimmy Doan Show. I am Counselor Curtis. Jimmy Doan is here with me.
Hi there. I'm Jimmy Doan.
He's alive.
He's alive. That's right.
Today is 11/18. This is Sunday. We do this twice a week these days at 4 p.m. Stream right here on this guy George Elmore's channel, which we hijacked.
We hijacked. That's right. That's right. On Facebook. That's right.
That's right. He's one of Jimmy's high school friends. So.
Yeah.
All right. So, what's going on?
What's going on today?
Yeah.
Well, the Gators won.
Woohoo!
Big time.
Yeah, killed him.
They killed them.
Idaho.
Yeah, right. I mean, can you imagine they flew all the way from Idaho to get whomped that badly?
It's awful. I thought they would have put up more of a. I thought they were a little closer, but I guess not.
I don't know. Anyway.
Who knows? Love y'all, cousins.
Yeah, that's right. Your cousins out there in Idaho. So there is some news since we last spoke.
Yeah, there is.
One of the big things, big news.
Big news.
Scientists say goodbye to the physical definition of the kilogram.
What?
Yeah. It turns out that the kilogram, lo these many years, has been a...
It's been wrong.
No. Apparently it's been okay.
Science.
Yeah, right. Apparently it's been a cube
Right.
of some metal
Right.
housed in secrecy in Paris in some safe.
Yeah.
And, every once in a while, I guess...
Yeah, they've got the. Well, the meter now is measured by light. Well, what did they do to the kilogram?
Well, I don't know the whole thing.
Okay.
Because it didn't make any sense to me. But they have gotten it away from the physical thing here, the actual weight thing.
Oh, okay.
So they're not doing that anymore because
Right.
they were worried, obviously, that even though in this temperature-controlled room and everything, and it's in four layers of glass and steel and everything, and I guess they had to take it out every once in a while with little gloves
Calipers.
and and then measure it, put it on the
Right.
scale, and then
Still a kilogram.
yes, well, what they would do, no, it wasn't that. It's somebody else would show up with their kilogram, and they'd say, oh no, well your kilogram's no good.
Right. Exactly.
So that's the way they did it.
Right.
It says the vote has been in between coffee breaks and quantum physics and so forth. The scientists voted to redefine the kilogram, which underpins the world system of weights. Instead of the kilogram's value of a physical artifact, has been in a case for more than 100 years. It's now defined using a constant of nature. Fortunately, its weight won't change, which is good news. The vote has been centuries in the making, with scientists describing it as the biggest revolution since the French Revolution. Now they say the metric system will fulfill the guiding ideology of meteorology that established, or metrology, I guess, that established the period.
What's the constant?
Okay, let's see. The use of physical artifacts, stumbling block, blah, 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 as international prototype killer, a lump of platinum iridium that's stored in a vault in Paris. And I don't have what it is now.
Oh, great.
Okay, and the punchline is, I don't know.
That's right.
They've decided, though, I don't know how. It's interesting. The weight of something.
So you're saying I've lost weight, is what you're saying.
Right, I guess. But they've decided to put it at so many light beams or something, whatever it is. I don't know, the speed of a quantum or something.
Right.
But unfortunately, I did not clip that part of it.
72 leptons.
Yeah, right, exactly. Okay, in further news, more news that's local to us. Jim Acosta won his court case.
Yes, well, not exactly.
No.
Let's be clear about this.
I thought he nailed it. I mean, he's back in there with his pass and everything. No.
Well, yeah, temporarily.
Oh,
Look, this is the preliminary ruling. The way that these things work is
just for those of you just tuning in, Jim Acosta was basically tossed out.
Yeah, everybody knows who Jim. They know who he is.
Okay. he was head. What do you call it? Provocateur in the Washington in the White House.
Journalist.
Yeah.
Esteemed journalist.
Esteemed journalist, right? Okay.
Right. Yeah.
In the White House press corps.
Right. So here's the problem. Okay.
Front row.
Two things. So he was chucked out. They sued to get his pass back. They asked for an emergency relief. And that's what the judge ruled on. And basically, it's a super temporary, super preliminary ruling that just says, look, I haven't even thought about this question yet. But for now, give him his damn pass back, because we know that his business, his personal business is impacted by the removal of that pass.
Okay.
He can't be the reporter for CNN. He can't do the job that CNN wants him to do. Exactly. Except that in reality, this is exactly the job CNN
Exactly.
Yeah.
In reality, he has been elevated.
Oh yes, man, he is the
Book deal.
torchbearer at this. Yeah, seriously, and I mean, this is the ratings bonanza. I guarantee you for CNN, this whole fiasco, and it continues. This is what's interesting. What's great about this is a huge win for Trump too. People don't understand this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a huge win. Ballpark home run for Trump.
Tell me.
Because he's the perfect foil. Now Trump gets to sit up there and argue with this guy if he wants to. I mean, he's probably not going to do that. I mean, if I were a conspiracy theorist, I would be convinced that Acosta and Trump were tight in on this together.
Really?
And they would be like, look, man, here's what you do. You stand up, I'm going to call on you. I want you to ask me the most ridiculous question there is, and I'm going to give the most ridiculous answer. And the two of us will go back and forth, and we'll blow off everybody else. You know, it's just, that's what they could do. But it's not going to happen like that, because he is a serious president for all the shenanigans. And so... But this is a temporary ruling. It was not decided on the merits at all. So, you know, this is no precedent or anything like that.
Okay.
And what was I going to say about this? I had, let's see.
Don't forget your notes.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, one thing I was thinking Trump could do if he wanted to is he could put Acosta there, and then he could call on people like right around Acosta.
Okay. Well, it was interesting because the guy, what's his name on this?
I realized what it was why the judge made this preliminary ruling. Trump opened his pie hole since this has happened. No, you know, go figure.
Yeah.
And one of the things he said was he was talking about the exact incident that we all assume led to the suspension of the pass, which was the girl thing, right? Well, what Trump said was, I don't hold him to that because it wasn't, you know, overly obnoxious or whatever, okay? Overly horrible, okay, is what he said. So basically, he cast doubt on the reason for the removal. Well, the CNN's entire case is that the reason for the removal was a pretext, and that really Trump just hates this guy and is going after the press. And so it fit perfectly with their narrative for Trump to say that. And what happened, I guess, Trump's lawyers failed, the White House lawyers failed to establish the exact revocation that they had implemented. They failed to say, you know, Officer so-and-so implemented Rule 3, which removed the badge. And they didn't do any of that. I don't know if I guess they're now promulgating rules and such, which it's hard to believe that they wouldn't already have written rules in place for conduct in the White House.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, it's interesting because a couple things. Number one, Obama also, I mean, I realize you can't go back and blah, 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 but apparently he threw out some people too. Okay, so what? But what was interesting was the guy, I forget what his name is on The Gist, on Slate. He's a Slate, he's a screaming lefty guy, but I listen to him anyway.
Sure.
But he what he did is he picked out on that exact day that Trump had called on 5 other reporters before Acosta. Mm-hmm. And they had been allowed, you know, 4 or 5 questions each. Mm-hmm. And you know, they kept going to follow up and follow up and follow up.
Right.
And so what was the deal? You know, obviously...
Well, didn't you watch the whole thing? I mean, it spun out of control real fast.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, Acosta stood up and said something like, "You suck." you know, and then Trump said, "Oh, here we go." And then right away, Acosta started saying, well, you know, he started making statements about the caravan. The caravan, they're people, you know, sir, can't you just accept the fact that they're people and, you know, this is not an invasion and blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't a question. It was just like, and Trump's like, I disagree. It's, you know, I think it is an invasion. Next question or whatever.
Right.
I mean, whatever. We'll see. I still think CNN will end up paying for his legal fees unless... If I were Trump's advisors at this point, I'd be telling him, drop the suit, concede, let him back in.
Yeah.
You know? Come on,
when
man.
When has he ever taken advice from his advisors?
Well, right. Yeah, there's that, you know.
Something else. Okay, the next item on my list. We received the link to somebody has gone to found a proposal that the ATF has decided to make bump stocks illegal, of course, because they make a machine gun out of the thing, and so they're going to what they're trying to do now. Because as you know, previously bump stocks they're the things that allow you to pull the trigger once and fire numerous bullets. And of course, after the Las Vegas thing, the guy had apparently an armada of bump stocks in his.
Where's K-Man when you need him?
Right, exactly. So anyway, they've decided to rule that bump stocks now are the equivalent of a machine gun. I thought that
ATF?
The Department of Justice issuing a rulemaking that would interpret the statutory definition of a machine gun, reinterpret the statutory definition of a machine gun.
So DOJ issues a ruling. They're hoping ATF will pick up on it and reinterpret their rules. And
it's modifying the National Firearms Act of 1934 and the Gun Control Act of 1968.
Well, I guess that does it.
Yeah, that's it. Well, what's interesting, I thought it was kind of interesting. 1934, think about it. A couple of things happened in 1933. One, gold was confiscated.
Yeah.
And two, you could still walk into any store and buy a machine gun.
Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. You could walk in and you wanted.
That was the year.
That was the year. That was 1934 was the Control Act, but in 1933 you want the big round.
Right. I'd love to have one of those.
I mean, seriously, you could walk in and buy one. I'll take two, right? And an extra magazine for my daughter.
And a map of the city.
That's it. Oh my God! So anyway, I just thought it was interesting that they're going to reclassify bump fire stocks, and of course it was done obviously after the Mandalay shooting and whatever it is. Let's see. The stock has no automatically functioning mechanical parts or springs and performs no automatic mechanical function when installed. That was the reason they didn't have it before. It was just it didn't have any springs or anything. It just was something that attached onto a regular gun, so they found it hard to classify it, the bump stock, as an automatic weapon, but they decided to change that, as they do. This is the next item I've got. While we're here on politics, there are two very serious politics today, or three. One is that we have a Republican senator in Scott has officially beat what's his
Nelson.
name? Nelson, right? Apparently that occurred like today.
Okay.
And then of course we also have a Republican governor here, DeSantis or whatever, has officially beat Gillum, right? And he's now conceded for the second time. He's conceded.
Okay.
And also Stacey
Abrams
in Georgia has sort of not conceded but conceded.
Right. Well, apparently the Blues have waved in California, in Orange County.
Yes, they have, and I've got a note on that. In fact, what happened was what I thought was interesting about that particular thing. Well, we're going to move on to California. Democrat Gil Cisneros captured a Republican-held U.S. House seat in Southern California.
Okay.
He's a Democrat, but he had beat. And what was interesting was he was running against Republican Young Kim, who was a female Korean American or whatever it is. They never mentioned that. What's interesting, what I find fascinating is that, which is okay, but if it had been the other way around, they probably would have said something about I don't know what they would have said. But anyway, Young Kim, which reminds me, every time I hear Young Kim, what I think of is the movie with what's his name? God, it's really a great movie. I've watched it so many times and I can't even remember the name of it. It's with. I'll think of it. God, I'll tell you, I'm getting so old. He's a Las Vegas magician, so to speak, but he can actually see 2 minutes into the future.
Oh, okay.
And so what happens is the FBI figures this out, and they found out that there's a bomb, an atomic bomb is going to explode in Los Angeles. So they try and get him, but of course he can see 2 minutes into the future, and one of the things is he gets up on stage and he says, I'm seeing a soul person. Then he goes over to this table, and where are you from, sir? I'm from Korea, and oh, this must be your daughter, Kim Young, or Young Kim, or whatever. I just remember her name was Kim Young, and he drags her up on stage. So anyway, that's what I'm reminded of every time I hear that. And as another tidbit for the day, okay, forget it. Yes, so it turns out that formerly Orange County, which was all reddish, has now turned totally blue.
Woo!
And so the Democrats have basically shocking news.
Taking over in California.
Well, Cisneros, 47, a $266 million lottery winner.
Whoa!
Yeah, jackpot winner, had been locked in a close race with Kim in a district that has grown increasingly diverse. Well, apparently he had enough money to run. I mean, $266 million, and he decides to run. I mean, I'm thinking, why would you do that? I mean, I'm sorry. I could buy my own island someplace and have really good time.
Right, and you could be ruler of the island.
You could be ruler, right? You're you're one of however many 473 people or whatever it is in the house.
Or you could be one of one.
One of one, right? I don't know. I guess that's whatever turns you on with your $266 million. It'll be interesting.
Such a good Samaritan.
Huh?
Good Samaritan.
Good Samaritan, right. He's going to make the world safe for everybody.
That's it.
And speaking of making the world safe for everybody, a little note that I just picked up today. The Pope has weighed in, decries that the wealthy few feast on what belongs to all of us.
Isn't he one of them? I mean,
yes.
Isn't the Pope worth like $10 billion? No,
but I mean, this is what's so funny. Here's a guy, literally, you are so right. I mean, here's a guy who's dressed. When he goes out, the
gold,
real gold, and real ermine, and real, this stuff, and the stuff and he lives in his own city.
Right.
I mean, Vatican City that's his.
Right now, in this Pope's defense, of course, this is the Jesuit Pope.
Right.
And he was the first guy to walk around in like regular duds.
Right. And
not riding in the fancy Pope mobile. And I think he actually lives in like a regular 2-bedroom place. I think he downsized.
In the Vatican?
Well, yeah, I don't, somewhere in there, obviously, but I think he has
kicked out a few monks.
Well, no, I'm saying he doesn't
live here on the concrete.
He doesn't actually live in St. Peter's Cathedral or anything,
He doesn't?
No, I think he lives in like an apartment or something.
Okay.
He downsized. So, but nevertheless, continue.
He's not going to starve.
No, and I don't see the Vatican shedding huge sums of wealth anytime soon.
No, so championing the cause of the poor, Pope Francis on Sunday lamented the wealthy few enjoy injustice if it were justice, would belong to us all. And this is, I'm serious, the guy is, I don't know, commie or something, I don't know. The Christians cannot remain indifferent to the growing cries of the exploited and the indigent, including migrants. Francis invited about 6,000 poor people.
Again, I mean, this is coming from a guy in a walled city.
Right. His own city.
Right.
I mean, you do understand that it's like another country.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we have ambassadors.
Yeah.
And I guess they live in Italy, the ambassadors. Some of the ambassadors probably live actually in Italy, which is outside the wall. Which is interesting because somebody once pointed out that Trump wants to build a wall, and then they look at the Pope and they think, well, but you've got a wall. I mean, it's a walled city.
Oh, right. That's what we just said.
Yeah. So anyway, In his homily, Francis said, "We Christians cannot stand with arms folded in indifference or with arms outstretched in helplessness about those in need." He cited the stifled cry of the unborn, starving children, young people more used to explosion of bombs than the happy shouts of the playground. So the poor were weeping while the wealthy few on what is...
I wonder how many immigrants the Vatican has absorbed since the...
he invited 6,000 poor people to the feast.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he did. He says invited 6,000 poor people as well as some of the volunteers who helped them to the splendor of St. Peter's Basilica when he celebrated Mass on Sunday. The Catholic Church dedicates to the needy. One day out of the year, they dedicate to the needy, and this is good. So this is fine.
He washes feet at least one day a year.
Exactly. So, but I just thought it was interesting. The to me, I won't say it's hypocrisy because, like you say, he does walk around on bare feet or something like that and in tattered clothes. Probably, what he's got, I'll bet you anything, is he went and bought some of those jeans that are pre-torn.
Oh, right, yeah.
And he walks around.
Do you have a Pope outfit in pre-torn?
Yeah, pre-torn Pope outfit. Yeah, okay, so anyway.
Slightly stressed.
Slightly stressed. That's right. It's a pre-stressed Pope outfit. Shred. Little blood over here.
Right.
Oh my God, yeah, that's perfect. The Economist's new proposal to tax steak and bacon to save lives.
Who?
Well, last week, a report by this is in England.
Okay.
University of Oxford academics calculated supposedly optimal tax rates on red meat, lamb, beef, and pork. Of course, pork, that's not a red meat, is it? Pork is a white meat, not like fish. Okay. And processed meats, sausages, bacon, salami, etc., for the U.S. recommended rates were as high as 34% and 163% respectively. Such taxes, the report claims, could save 52,500 American lives a year.
52,526 lives.
Right. I mean, what? And this actually made the news. And of course, here I am touting it. I'm parroting this out just to let you.
Well, this is it's the UK. It's totally
it's the
crazy.
UK. Oh, yes. Well, they said for the US, they talking about the US. The US could save 52,500. So this is American lives, which is good. Well, of course, with our immigrants, could probably save some of their lives too. I don't know. Okay, so with the Florida recount over, I had this before. Andrew Gillum has conceded. That was yesterday. And Abrams apparently has decided she...
Yep, he did that.
If she did that, right?
Did it,
right, okay. Another thing, what's interesting, some of the migrants have appeared at the border of Tijuana, I think.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, some of the locals there started throwing rocks at him.
Oh, is that right?
Get out, yeah. Tijuana, demonized by U.S. President Donald Trump and exhausted.
Demonized, right. It was Trump told us to do it.
You're right. Demonized by exhausted.
I wasn't gonna, but...
After a harrowing journey, migrants from Central America in a caravan now face a new threat. Open hostility from Mexicans. Mm-hmm. A small group of residents in an upscale Tijuana neighborhood near the Mexican border, which I thought was interesting, is that upscale. I wonder what upscale is. Neighborhood. Okay, we actually have a house and a front door. Well, okay. No, I don't. I mean, that's not true. It confronted caravan migrants late on Wednesday, throwing stones and telling them to go back to their home countries. Get out of here, around 20 people shouted at a camp of Hondurans near the border. We want you to return to your country. You're not welcome, which I thought was interesting. I mean, to me, they
homestead them.
Yeah, right. The bulk of them, of course, still are yet to arrive, but I thought even with just those few that have already gotten up to Tijuana, the locals are not happy. And everybody's wondering why we're not happy. If they were.
I'm happy.
Oh, that's right. You're open borders for all.
Yeah, I'm an amnesty guy. Amnesty and homestead them.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay. Okay.
Right.
Next item from our resident socialist, Bernie Sanders.
Uh-huh.
Fresh off of Amazon wage hike, which we talked about.
Yeah.
It's not really a wage hike, is it? They took away some stuff that they had previously had, even though they paid Amazon's paying them $15 an hour.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They adjusted their benefits or something?
Right. They adjusted their benefits. I think we mentioned that in a previous.
Well, I thought Amazon's base rate at its distribution centers was $15 an hour anyway. Maybe they have other places, like the phones or something, that are less than that, or were less than that. I think what he was counting on was people like Bernie and other people passing a minimum wage statute, raising up the minimum wage for everybody, and then whumping the competition by switching over to some robots. And using his use of technology is beyond theirs in terms of their sorting.
You mean Bezos?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. No, that's true. No question about it. I mean, we talked about this also, about the 100% robotic distribution in China someplace. I mean, there's one guy there that throws an on switch and it does it all.
Right.
But if you think that's not, he gets paid $100 an hour. Click. So, or 101. So anyway, targets Walmart in a new bill. Bernie Sanders shamed Amazon so badly over its employee pay that the online retailer announced a new $15 minimum wage last month. Now the Vermont guy wants to go after an Amazon competitor, Walmart, in a bill introduced. Now this is a legal bill with guns behind it, titled the Stop Walmart Act. Can you imagine? No, seriously, it's titled the Stop Walmart Act. Sanders is following essentially the same strategy that drove Amazon to say it would raise the starting pay in its fulfillment centers. You have the wealthiest family in the United States worth $180 billion, Sanders told HuffPost, referring to the Waltons, who own a majority stake in Walmart, and they're paying workers starvation.
Started with one dime store.
Right, exactly. And in fact, it was probably a 5 and dime. I remember.
Yeah, dime. You were lucky.
Yeah, you lucky. You had a dime? No, you go in there for a nickel. And of course, you have to understand, one of the things that you do understand, I think I'm going to talk about this in a minute, a dime is today worth like $1.50.
From back then.
Back then, if you have an actual dime from
the actual dime.
If you have an actual dime from 1963, you go to the coin shop and they'll give you $1.50 for it.
Sure.
Of local money, so because of the silver, obviously. The Stop Bad Employers by Zeroing Out Subsidies Act, introduced by Sanders in September, would punish large companies for paying workers poorly enough that they qualify for welfare programs. A shorter version of its name, Stop Bezos Act, pointed the finger directly at Amazon's CEO. I mean, can you imagine the Congress? This is a guy who owns like 3 houses, of course, and is doing pretty well, brand new really nice house on the waterfront up there in Vermont. Does Vermont have waterfront? Yeah, I guess it does someplace. Vermont, New Hampshire, I forget. Yeah, lake. Yeah, whatever. Okay. So anyway, but I mean, can you imagine when you target a single citizen in the United States, the entire Congress of the United States?
I mean, what's interesting is that here's a guy who's, would you say, 78 or something, and he spent his whole life and doesn't, I guess, realize the value that Bezos has added to society, and from his perspective, Bezos is, I guess, doing evil of some type. I mean, he's violating. Bezos is apparently violating some type of social contract in Bernie's mind that he believes he has with all of us. You get wealthy, and then you have to give your money away. Wait till the guy dies. For Christ, you get his money, then you get all of it.
Yeah. I mean, you have to understand. You are going to get. You're in such a rush. You're exactly correct. One of the things, even without an estate tax, let's assume, of course, whoever the heirs are going to have to pay this monster estate tax, which of course is a tax on a tax.
Oh, sure.
But be that as it may, even if there wasn't one, where do you think that money's going to go?
Yeah, well, of course.
Shirt sleeves in 3 generations.
Right.
The money's going to go back into the vest.
It's going back.
Just wait.
And did you notice 800,000 new millionaires this year?
No, I didn't.
870,000 new millionaires minted this year. U.S. has 40% of them.
Really?
Home run, the crowd goes wild. Exactly. So
I did not see that.
Man, I mean, Nice.
800,000
Yeah.
new millionaires. Of course, one part of that, as you well know, is because of inflation.
Sure, yeah. I mean, if there's a giant
really-
crash, we'll lose 400,000.
Right, exactly. You're right, exactly. when they watch the stock market plummet,
Right.
to 19 to
It's true, but
20
for now.
But for now, right, you are rich. Okay, so next item on my list is WikiLeaks chief. I think we mentioned this.
Well, we didn't bring this. I mean, it's taken a turn now at this
Has it?
point. Yeah, they've. There was a WikiLeaks leak.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It turns out one of the astute watchers of the government, of which there are million people. You know, people always say they're worried about the internet because the government's going to watch them. Well, I always say, look, what's happening is the people are watching the government.
Right.
And so somebody goes through and reads all of the Justice Department filings.
Okay.
And this guy found a typo in a filing that was unrelated to Assange, which included a paragraph about Assange, and it was talking about how the sealed indictment against Assange should not be revealed, why it shouldn't be revealed yet, but it uses his name and everything.
Right.
So the guy's like, well, obviously, somewhere in the Justice Department, there's a document with this paragraph in it.
Yeah.
And so cold busted.
Cold busted.
They're going after him, and this is a guy who I don't know if people know, but he got his information from Chelsea Manning or Bradley Manning at the time.
Right.
So it was not like he hacked into anything.
No.
He's basically doing what, from my perspective, journalists do.
Well,
somebody handed him some information and he published it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's and they're going to kill him.
Yeah, they want to kill him. What's interesting is because what's his name in 1971 or whatever with the Pentagon Papers, those papers I think were actually stolen. I'm not sure, they were copied or something, and yet he's got off and everything like that.
Well, and that's what the argument against Manning was. Obviously, he went to prison for a long time before he was exonerated.
Yeah.
Or pardoned.
Yeah, well, yeah, right, exactly. But the point is that they're going to. In an unrelated case, like you just said, suggested prosecutors have prepared charges against him. Assange's name appears twice in a recently unsealed August court filing from a federal prosecutor in Virginia, attempting to keep another one secret or whatever it is. In one sentence, the prosecutor wrote that the charges warrant and arrest warrant would need to remain sealed until Assange is arrested in connection with the charges in the criminal complaint. So, in other words, they're going to arrest him and then reveal the reason for it.
Well, yeah. I mean, the cops know the reason. That's not backwards or anything, though. But it's just crazy that they've targeted this guy so heavily. They're trying to make an example out of him, and
what is amazing to me are the people that here in the United States that, I mean, of course, he's not a U.S. citizen.
He's Australian.
He's Australian. And they literally, what's his name from South Carolina? I mean, they're talking about murdering this guy.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's as far it'd be too good to murder him.
Yeah. Well, they got calls, I'm sure, from family members saying, our positions were revealed, our troop numbers, our troop count, this puts us all in danger. The guy's a threat to national security. He's a danger to our soldiers.
Right.
And they probably screamed that at Lindsey Graham until he promised to do something about it.
What's interesting, of course, is they talk about putting their lives at risk, and I'm thinking, but they're over there at risk.
Well, yeah.
I mean, they're being shot at by people, but they didn't have to be there. They could be home in South Carolina.
Right. Well, see, that's another thing. Lindsey's got to deflect the blame off of him.
Right.
It's not. It's not the people who ordered the troops over there. It's this guy who told the other people that we ordered the troops over there.
Right. I remember when what's his name? The guy who he's still on the pseudo-Mexican guy when he opened the tomb or the safe from
Al. Oh yeah. Geraldo,
yeah. Well, of course he got booted because he inadvertently revealed where he was embedded, and he inadvertently revealed where he was.
We're here.
Yeah, we're here, and
right
by the
outside,
way, right outside, such and longitude. Longitude this, latitude this. Oh, was I not supposed to say that?
That's right.
Oh my God. So anyway, all right. Now, next item, an update on Venezuela.
All right, what we got?
Venezuela is rolling out a new ID card,
Okay.
manufactured in China, that can track, reward, and punish its citizens.
Okay. This is the social credit system?
Well, but 10 years after this is 10 years after when Maduro, whoever it was, went over to China, Venezuela is rolling out a new smart card ID known as the Fatherland card. The ID
Nothing
transmits.
creepy about that.
No. It transmits data. Think about it. These are the same kind of cards, they're only way more sophisticated. You know, when you walk out of a store and
Right.
they have the thing there that sees if you paid the money or whatever. This transmit data about the card holders to computer servers. The card is increasingly linked by the government to subsidized food, health, and other social programs most Venezuelans rely on to survive. So if you do something bad, or if you're in the wrong place or something like that, apparently your card can be like no good.
Well, this is obviously what you just mentioned. This is a copy of the Chinese system that's widely implemented right now, which we know if you're walking around with your card and you make X purchase as opposed to Y purchase, your credit score or your social credit
score, right,
goes up or down, which provides you access to all kinds of things. I mean, it's the ultimate Big Brother tool.
Yeah.
And of course, Maduro would want it. This is sort of a last-ditch effort to save his skin.
I just think it's. I mean, think about all the brothels that are going to go out of business because if you walk in there and your card records it. I mean,
yeah, I imagine a lot of people's cards are going to be left in the car.
You're right. That's right. And you sat in that car for 4 hours.
That's it, right outside that
right
hotel.
Outside. Right? My God, just how could that be?
It was a nice day.
It was a beautiful day. I just had to do. I took off all my clothes and went swimming.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Prove I didn't. So anyway, on another note of China, China is raising the cash award it's paid to citizens for reporting pornographic and, quote, illegal, unquote, publications to authorities, government regulators. So starting December 1st, yes, right after. Next week, this week is Halloween. It's not Halloween, it's Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Starting in December 1st, people can rake in up to 600,000 yuan, which is equivalent to $86,000.
Oh, okay.
$10. No, $86,000 for reporting illegal content online or otherwise, double the $300,000 or $43,000, whatever dollars, under previous guidelines. What counts as illegal content in China is broadly defined, but
It's
includes.
interesting that they actually have people over there running illegal publication scheme. I mean, the nature of publication is you're putting stuff out there,
Right.
and yet here you are in a place that's adverse to your publication, publishing. I mean, that's
Well, of course, we talked a little bit about this the other day. It was blown away by the number of private companies sending rockets to the moon, for God's sakes, over there. I mean,
it's just interesting. I guess we all imagine that. If I look over here, the camera can see, the FBI. Hi, FBI. But in China, I would imagine it would be even worse, except for the probably lesser connectivity that everybody shares over there. I mean, my guess is that our society over here is far more interconnected in terms of the web having access in every single home everywhere. But I'm just guessing. I don't know. Yeah. Any of our Chinese friends? Yeah.
Hi, Mr. FBI. Yes, we're here and we're live. I'm looking out the door here.
That's right. Sniper fire.
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, the broadly defined, but includes work that endangers national unity, leaks state secrets, or disturbs the social order. So. Umbrella terms that are also sometimes used when authorities publish or silence Chinese dissidents and rights campaigners.
Social order.
Well, not only that, what I think is kind of interesting is the Cyberspace Administration of China, the CAC, said it had cleaned up 9,800 accounts of Chinese social media platforms, which it accused of spreading politically harmful information and rumors. So I think this is interesting when, of course, here you've got the private people cleaning up the rebellious right-wingers on our social media. Then so, okay. Next item.
Yeah.
The FDA is to ban flavored e-cigarettes in U.S. convenience.
Yes, I saw this. Interesting ruling.
Yeah.
So the FDA comes out and they ban these new flavored.
The vapor thing.
Yeah.
Vaping.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess that they're tobacco substitute type of things.
Right. I think it's like pure nicotine or something. It's flavored.
Right. And so, so they banned every flavor except for mint.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
I thought, boy, we talked about, weren't they going to ban mint cigarettes? Well, if you go back to Wednesday's show, I think they were getting ready to ban the menthol.
Well, they did not, because menthol accounts for like 30% of their sales.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they're like, hell no.
Okay.
And by the way, mint is a sophisticated adult flavor, and you know it's fine to dispense at the.
Well, here's the deal. What's so funny about this, in a way, to me, the Food and Drug, the FDA, Thursday announced sweeping new restrictions on flavored tobacco products, including electronic cigarettes, popular among teenagers.
Yeah.
In an effort to prevent a new generation of nicotine addicts.
Yeah. I like the guy's statement.
Huh?
The guy's statement. Do you have the guy's statement in there?
Let's just see here. It's much anticipated, meaning that only tobacco, mint, and menthol e-cigarette flavors can be sold at most traditional retail outlets as convenience stores. Other fruity or sweet flavored varieties can only be sold at age-restricted stores or through online merchants. The FDA also
yeah, or through online merchants,
right,
which are impossible to fake your age at.
Right, yeah, right. And yeah, right, exactly. You're sitting on this are you a girl? Yes.
That's right.
I mean,
you know, these kids, why don't these kids just argue that they identify as being over 18?
What's wrong with that?
I know.
Yeah, I'm over 18. I mean, I identify that way.
That's it.
So anyway, the FDA commissioner said the moves are meant to prevent young people from continuing to use e-cigarettes, potentially leading to traditional cigarette smoking. I will not allow a generation of children to become addicted to nicotine through e-cigarettes, said Gottlieb.
I will not
allow.
That's right.
This one guy, I will not allow.
He's putting his foot down. It's a good thing. Somebody and he stepped up finally.
I will not allow.
That's right.
Oh my God, yes.
And now they are prevented from becoming addicted.
All right, yes. Because Gottlieb has said.
That's right. That's right. Of course, that's on the fruity stuff. They can still get the cigarettes.
Right. Okay. Next item, we're going to run out to the California fire.
Oh, back to the fire.
Back to the fire.
Let me fire up the transporter.
Okay, fire up the transporter.
Okay,
see where we're going
back
to go
to
here.
paradise.
And see, I didn't even change my clothes. We just.
That's right.
So anyway, yeah. Boom. Authorities sifted through the charred wreckage of California's deadliest ever wildfire on Sunday, searching for any signs of the 1,200 and so plus people still listed as missing, which is a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
So this is, more people have died. They went back in this article.
It's like 61 or something now?
No, I mean forever just about. They went back to like 1930s or something from fires. They had more than that. The remains of 76 people so far. 63 have been identified. They're waiting for DNA on the rest of them, I guess. Rain is forecast. Now, this is going to be a problem, and I'm going to talk about that.
A problem?
Well, I'll tell you why. In Paradise, the flames moved so fast that some victims died in their cars in a chaotic evacuation as gridlock formed on the two exits out of town. So anyway, what the authorities have said is that probably the people that survived out of town have not contacted anybody yet to say I'm okay.
Right.
So
they go on Facebook and post the "I'm okay" thing. I mean,
right. So that's what they did here.
Right.
I mean even and nobody. It was interesting.
If you're in the same state, people are posting "I'm okay."
Yeah. It's like, seriously, when the hurricane went up on the Panhandle over there, people here in town.
Yeah. I'm okay.
I'm okay, and we were never not okay.
If their friend knows they live in Florida but doesn't know anything about Florida.
Well, it's not only that. I mean, your friend in Paris says the United States has been hit by a hurricane.
That's right. That's right.
I'm okay in Idaho. So yeah. So anyway, here's the bad news. Thousands of people displaced by California's most destructive wildfire, including hundreds living in tents and cars, face heavy rains next week that could trigger dangerous floods, mudslides, while helping to douse the flames. And they're talking about at least 300 people who fled the Camp Fire, nicely named, were sheltering on Friday in the flood-prone parking lot of Walmart in Chico, about 15 miles west of where the blaze consumed the mountain town of Paradise. More than 1,000 people, which we just talked about, are missing, and the remains of 71 people have been identified. This is today's news. And so anyway, the rainstorm is forecast to hit next week, and so they're asking people to leave the Walmart parking lot because it's prone to flooding. And hillsides that have been scorched by wildfire at risk for mudslides when it rains, experts say. The flames burn away the vegetation that holds the soil in place and bake a waxy layer into the earth that prevents water from sinking more than a few inches. So that's,
that's bad.
Well, I mean, first of all, you get burned out, and now you get flooded out. I mean, this is the Lord is wreaking havoc on you. I put fire on you, and now I'm going to flood. You didn't build an ark. You should have built an ark. Oh, it burned. The ark burned. It was made out of wood. That was the problem.
There's one in what is that guy's got one in Tennessee or something?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, well,
get over there.
Okay,
well, let me tell you about that. To me, the big news about the fire is that the insurance companies, as you suspected, are taking a closer look now. And what they're taking a closer look at is private fire inspectors. And these are people who will go and legitimately assess the fire risk for the properties that they're insuring, as one would suspect.
Right.
They've got actuaries.
Right.
And they're doing the math. And so you're going to get some people out there, and this was brought on by the Kim and Kanye thing, but there are going to be teams of at least fire assessment personnel.
Now, the Kim and Kanye was the...
They hired their own people to come out and hose down their...
Right, okay, right, yeah, so, private fire, yeah.
Right, and basically that's what I'm suggesting is a good idea.
Okay.
Because it may save lives in the future. There's no reason.
I know it's interesting because if you go get life insurance, you have to have you have to be inspected by a doctor.
Right, exactly.
So are you prone to a heart attack or something like that? Your rate's going to go up.
Right.
Yeah. So if you're in a fire-prone area, which of course apparently this was not supposed to be that much.
I don't know.
I don't know either. But you're right. But now, going on this, the new fire inspectors are going to go out there and say, well, you think you're safe,
right? But
look what happened over here.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, of course, it's not going to help them in southern Hawaii.
No.
Oh, your house got lavaed.
Yeah. You're living on the slopes of a volcano, and I'll tell you.
But it'll be interesting to see if there are any changes in terms of fire protection.
I would guess.
Yeah.
I mean, the insurance...
Well, it's so interesting. They come out and they say, fire protection, we all accept that it's a public good and therefore has to be provided by the government. Well, if we all accept that's public good, then we all should be willing to do something about it privately.
Yes, exactly right.
I mean, how hard can it be to convince a bunch of people who all believe something is right and good?
Yeah.
Should be paid for.
Well, that's what I've always said this before. Is that's the thing about education. If it's such a good
thing, that's what I'm talking about.
If it's such a good thing, why do you have to have the government involved? Everybody agrees.
Everybody agrees it's a great thing.
Yeah.
And it's like their system is like, well, okay, maybe only 90% of us agree, but it's okay to force the other 10% or something. Or it's like, look, let them. It's okay if there are free riders. Free riders are not the problem.
No, and it's funny, and they always drag that up, though.
I know.
They put a sewer line down your road here. In fact, they do it here in town. They put a sewer line or water line down the middle of the road, and even if you're not hitched up to it, you pay.
Right.
That you pay. I'm not using it. No, but you're a free rider. So whatever. Okay, so anyway, that's a problem in California. We can maybe go to, I don't know where we're going to go. This is the we're going to have to go back. The headline is the Obamas are becoming billionaires.
Wow.
The Barack Obama Foundation has seen its contributions soar. The launch of Michelle's cross-country book tour and everything on her new memoir, Becoming, last week, just the latest marker on the road for fabulous wealth for the former first couple.
I got to bring this up, right? There's a guy who's running for president right now, whose idea is to limit the total amount of money that people can make if they run for office, if they're in office, and after they leave office. And it's to something like $275,000 for the rest of their lives or something. Like his whole concept is once you're in office, if you come out, you're just barred from making money beyond some arbitrary reasonable amount that he thinks is okay. So like any millionaire, anybody whose normal salary is over $1 million a year or something, they'd have to waive all that for the rest of their lives in order to run for office.
Is he going to be elected?
I don't know.
No,
We'll
probably
see.
not. At any rate, in addition to the $65 million book advance, an estimated $50 million.
Holy shit!
Yeah, $65 million book advance. I mean, somebody paid her $65 million as an advance on her book.
Jesus, how many books do they think she's going to sell?
Well, she's going to go on cross-country tour. Now, wait a minute, it gets better. And an estimated $50 million deal with Netflix. Now, you remember, they've got their Netflix thing. That's $50 million. They're supposed to do some programming or...
yeah, they're going to do a reality show or something.
A reality show. Yeah. Okay, right, yeah. Good luck. Both of which she shares with their husband. The former First Lady is poised to rake in millions from her appearances on a 10-city U.S. tour and sales of merchandise connected to her autobiography. So and like her husband, Michelle Obama is currently in demand as a speaker for corporations and nonprofits, commanding $225,000 per appearance.
Wow.
A nonprofit is going to pay her
$225,000
to show up and give a little speech promoting her new book.
Uh-huh.
I'm thinking, nice gig if you could get it.
Yes,
I mean, just this is
she's
it's just
really entertaining.
Yeah,
really entertaining.
God, can you imagine?
Really,
you're
entertaining.
you're at the Red Cross High Achievers Award dinner,
right,
for 1,000 people, and you're paying $225,000 as she's the speaker, and that's interesting. So, and your ticket costs.
That's what it is, man.
Yeah.
It's a draw.
So anyway, the last item I have.
Okay.
I thought this is another UK item.
Uh-huh.
School bans expense.
Aha!
What?
I can take us over to some schools.
Okay, good deal.
Nice school for us to get to. So
Okay.
Kablamo!
Okay, good.
Oh.
Yes, this is it. That's the Little Red Schoolhouse.
Oh, yeah, well, that's where you went. I made it to Harvard Yard.
Okay, right. Well,
okay.
you can see.
You're in cartoon land.
Yeah, I'm in cartoon land. Exactly right. A school in the United Kingdom has forbade students from wearing, quote, expensive, unquote, jackets because doing so may poverty shame other students.
Yeah.
A letter sent by officials from Woodchurch, interesting, High School in Merseyside informed parents that pupils will not be permitted to bring in goose and Canadian goose and Montclair coats after the Christmas break.
Do they have a Canadian goose detector?
I get something, you goose down or whatever. Such garb can cost up to $900. We're very concerned about the fact that our children put a lot of pressure on parents to buy them expensive coats, she said. Pupils were attending classes in coats that cost £700. A lot of parents at our school cannot afford that. Yeah, well, and what's the problem? I mean, the people who did not receive expensive outerwear were upset, she continued. They feel stigmatized and they feel left out and they feel inadequate.
So, like, Johnny's got a nice coat.
Mom, and I want one like it too. We can't afford it.
That's right. That's right. Get the school to take theirs away.
That's right. That's what they're doing.
I know.
That's unbelievable. I mean,
okay, don't worry. I'll go get the school to take Johnny's coat. Well, let me tell you why I wanted to mention schools, and this also from the UK.
Okay.
There is a school out there, apparently a secondary school, with 17 kids transitioning in gender. And apparently the majority of them are autistic. And so this one teacher posted her concerned letter anonymously for fear of being sacked, of course.
Right, yeah.
And her contention is that these kids are being given drugs and hormone replacement therapy and everything without their parents' consent, without their parents' knowledge.
Wow.
The teachers are instructed not to talk to other teachers or the parents about kids' decisions, and again, autistic kids' decisions whether or not to transform their genders. So, and according to this teacher, there's like a little clique in this particular high school, and these kids, all these transitioning kids, all dress alike and sort of hang out together, and they're super popular, and it's like the new thing.
We had it in my school, for God's sake. We all had even in my private school, we had a special jacket.
The members only jacket or something?
Yeah, right, yeah, seriously.
Right. Well, of course, there's always something like that. I mean, every year there's a pair of jeans or a jacket or, some shoes or something that everybody wants to have.
We had penny loafers.
There you go. And but this is just an interesting and potentially disturbing trend about the disconnect between the teachers and the parents. Exactly.
Which is really sad. I mean, and it's interesting because I remember many years ago when I went on Parents' Night, the one night we were allowed in there,
Oh, right, to my school.
At your school, right. At the one night we were allowed in there. And we're going through the various classes that you and your brother went to, and I'm looking around, I'm thinking, what the hell? What these people doing? This doesn't make any sense at all. I think I've mentioned this before, but it was just hysterical that in the history class they had the evil villains of history,
right?
And they had Stalin and Hitler, and James Watt, the Secretary of Agriculture or whatever it was, because he wanted to sell off some forest land or some buildings or whatever. And he was
no political statement.
No,
there.
my God, you got to be kidding me!
I got it. There's another teacher issue that since we're at the schools here, a St. Louis school substitute teacher was sacked for thanking some kids for standing and saying the pledge. So apparently he's not allowed to voice his support for the pledge. It may make the kids who aren't standing or saluting
feel bad,
or something like that. So yet another home run ball for the schools here.
Well, you did see the one. I think we talked about this. The teacher who was fired from her also. I think this was in elementary school, if I'm not mistaken. And she was fired, probably sixth or maybe it was middle school. She had failed to give, we might have talked about this before, she had failed to give the kids who did not hand in the homework, she had failed to give them a 50.
Right, she gave them zeros.
She gave them zeros.
Yeah, I saw that too.
And she was out.
That's right.
And so she wrote a letter to the students and said, sorry, I love you all, blah blah blah, and this is the reason I'm being sacked is because I failed.
Because you suck.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, just interesting. Couple of quick light notes.
Okay, good.
So
absolutely everything we've done pretty much is light notes.
Yeah, today we've been light note. Had a lot of guests. Thanks everybody for joining. Gene, Jack, John, Bart, Tariq, Jody. Thanks y'all. And but real quick, did you notice that 5 people were indicted in Saudi Arabia for the killing of Khashoggi?
I did see that.
Right.
And they're getting the death sentence.
Right. So 5.
Wait a minute. This is unbelievable.
So 5 murderers to be murdered for murdering the murder of Khashoggi.
And, I mean, what the prince calls him up and says, "Hey, you need to go over and murder Khashoggi."
That's right.
Would you? Okay,
Yeah,
okay, chief, we'll do it. And
you blew it.
You blew it, right? You blew it, and you died.
That's it.
Oh my God!
Add your name to the list. It's the Stalin trick. Just a real quick tech update. They used some nanobots on a pig's eye recently to deliver some medicine to the exact part of the eye that they wanted to deliver the medicine to.
Really?
In a technological first. They put the nanobots on the eye and they use magnetic fields to draw the bots through the membrane without hurting it.
Yeah.
And then to the specific spot to release the drugs and get her done. And so much more specific placement of drugs. B, not putting drugs in places where they shouldn't be.
Right.
You know, they used to just drop it all over the eye.
Right.
And some of it will get to the retina, you know. And then the third thing is think about the potential for no needles.
Yes.
I mean, it won't be long.
Right.
No needles. They'll just drop the little droplet of nanobots on you, pull them into your skin, hit the release button, draw them back out again, or
Run
something.
that magnet up here.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And no needle, no schmeedle. So, woohoo!
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can tell you that the kids would like.
Oh man, I hate needles. I mean, man.
I got some. I don't mind it anymore.
Now we didn't address our question. We had a question a couple weeks ago from cousin Chad, the Trump question.
Oh, and I have not finished it yet.
Okay, all right, cousin Chad, we are getting to this. Listen, y'all, somebody wrote in a nice question. How did the Trump phenomenon happen? You know, I'll read the question next week. It's how did a racist.
Well, the main thing was one of the main things was that Trump is a liar.
Right, that's
And
a big
of course,
one.
And what we wanted to know was where are the lies?
Well, and we'll go into all of it next week, I guess, or on Wednesday.
On Wednesday, right? 4:00.
Okay, so
Yeah, I'll have it all done by then, Chad.
all right. So thanks for joining,
Yep, we're right on time.
everybody. Whoops. Transporter. That's it. So, and the music just starts right back up. There it is. So, thank you to Kevin MacLeod for the music. This is Matt's Blues, and we like it. Might pick something else for our Light Notes music soon. So anyway, y'all, we do this twice a week, as we say, 4 o'clock Wednesdays and Sundays on this channel. Looks like we had a perfect stream again this week, which is nice. So we will
Leave us your comments and your thumbs up stuff, and share with your friends.
Yeah. And we'll get to the comments. We'll get to the comments here ourselves very shortly. So now that we pay some attention to it. So. All right. See ya.